Hi everyone, we're back again to continue talking about surface area. This time we're going to talk about surface area of cylinders, these guys. But just as a quick review, surface area is the sum of the areas of the faces or surfaces of a 3D figure. And when we talk about it, a lot of times we'll use a net. The figure, it's a pattern made when the surface of a 3D figure is laid out flat. We take 3D and make it 2D, and it shows each face of the figure. Now, like I said, we are going to talk about cylinders today. And when we do this, we're going to encounter pi because we're going to have circles in there. And if we need to, we're going to round answers to the nearest hundredth. Now, you see we have a cylinder here. And it says the radius of the circle, which is the base, so the circles are the bases, is 4. And the height of the cylinder is 7 feet. Now, then they drew a net over here. And you'll see, did you realize this even, that when you flatten out a cylinder, it's actually a rectangle with 2 circles attached? Did you know that? So we essentially have to find the area of the rectangle and add it to the area of the bases. However, we may not actually have this length given to us as a straight up length. We'll have the height or the width of the rectangle, but we won't have the length. Instead, we say it's the circumference of the circle. So we're going to actually do circumference and area of the circles in order to help us solve. Now, if you're going, how? How is the length of the rectangle the circumference of the circle? Well, let's take our cylinder. I happen to have one here, and break it apart. So here's my cylinder. And as you can see, it mostly fits. It's not perfect because it's paper, and well, obviously I don't cut perfectly, but our circle top fits right on top of perfectly of the sides. Those sides, look at that, right there. You're looking into it right now. So if I can just break this apart. Hang on. Breaking. Look at that. There's my sides. It has now turned into a rectangle. That rectangle is no longer than the distance around the circle. It can't be any more and it can't be any less. If it was any less, the sides wouldn't come together. And if it was any, or the top would overlap, hang over the edge. And if it was any more, then the sides would overlap or the top would sink in. So it has to line up exactly, which means then we can, if we find the circumference of our circle, that'll be the same as the length of our rectangle, and then we just multiply that times the width or the height of the cylinder. There we go, cylinder. Too many terms. All right, so let's take a look at this. We're going to do this 2 ways. First, we're going to go through what's on the note sheet. And then I'm going to show you a different way, and I'll just write it on our little net drawing that we have here. So we have what we call the lateral area, or the area of the lateral surface. That's the rectangle. So we're finding the area of the rectangle. So we label that. It's the area of the rectangle, and it's the circumference times the height. And then we have the area of each base. We multiply it by 2 because there's 2 of them, and that's the circle. So, and we find the area of a circle, pi r squared. So, that's what we're really working on here. Now, unfortunately, this example splits over 2 pages. It's just how it happens to go. So, we are going to do that now. Let's see here. All right, to get all the work on here, I don't think I can keep my picture. We'll see. We'll try. All right, here we go. I'll have to scoot some stuff up later, but here we go. Actually, we'll make this even better. Hang on. Give me 1 second. I just thought of this as we were working. If I fold this down. There. How is that? That'll work for right now. Okay, so you see our cylinder. Here is our rectangle piece right there. Okay, so they do height times circumference, whatever. That's circumference. And then there's the area over there. So really what we have happening are two problems going on at once. So sometimes some people like to do this separately. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a little line right here at the plus sign. There we go. And we're going to focus on everything to the left half of the line till we get down here. And then we'll focus on everything on the right half of the line till we get down here, and then put it all together. So we're going to focus on the rectangle first, which is the side of the cylinder. So we have the height. We know that's 7. So we're going to plug that in there. And then 2 pi r, circumference 2 pi r, or pi times diameter. Well, we have the radius, so we'll just say it's 2 times the radius. The radius is 4. So let's just work our way through simplifying. Okay, 7 times 2 times pi, which we'll deal with in a second, 8 pi, and then we're going to multiply. So our pi carries on. Now we turn it into 3.14. And we say 7 times 8 times 3.14. Well, 8 times 3.14 is 25.12. So 7 times 25.12 is 175.84. So that's the area of our sides. It's the rectangle part. We did the circumference times the height. Now we're going to find the area of the base, the circle, and multiply by 2 because there are 2 of them, and then we'll add it all together. So 2 times pi times r squared, r is still 4, so 4 squared. So 2 times 16, now we'll multiply 16 times 3.14, because in any of these you're just going to use 3.14 for pi. 16 times 3.14 is 50.24. 2 times that is 100.48, and now we add the 2 and we end up with 276.32. So, or in other words, 276.32 feet squared. Remember, we're doing area. We have to use units square, whatever they are. Okay, so you see how we broke it up this way in the problem. It's one giant problem. Now if you're saying, I don't like it that way, I want it in pieces, and then I'll just put it all together at the end. Okay, fine. Let's just do that. Let's do it separately. Here's my net drawing. I'm just going to write right here on my net drawing. So here we have our rectangle, which we said we have to do it's the circumference times the height. And we knew our radius was 4 feet, and our height here was 7 feet. Circumference is 2 times 3.14. Let's put it right in there right away. 2 pi. R is 4. So we got 2 pi r times h, just 7. 2 pi r h. When we multiply all of that together, 2 times 3.14 times 4 times 7. What do you get? Should get 175.84. Okay? So that's part of it. Then, so the trickiest part here is just remembering that you have to use circumference for the length rather than your traditional, just you're given a length. You're going to figure it out first. Now let's shift up here to the circle. Here we find it pi r squared. We're going to plug it in. 3.14 times r squared. Pi r squared. So 4 squared is 16, so we have 3.14 times 16. And what is 3.14 times 16? 50.24. Now, if we recall, this circle down here at the bottom should be identical, so it should also be 50.24. Correct? Correct. Now, somewhere over here, we got to find the total surface area. We got space on our rectangle, so let's just add them all up. 175.84 plus 50.24 plus 50.24, or 175.84 plus 2 times 50.24. Some of you guys get it already, and you can say, I'm adding two of the same thing, so it's like multiplying it by 2. Either way, we end up with, once again, our final answer being that 276.32 feet squared as our final answer. So you can see, this might be easier. I found in the past, most people like to work with this method better. Focus on the rectangle, focus on the circles, put it together. The other way tends to be a little bit too cumbersome, just too much stuff all in one spot, but it's up to you. All right, let's take a look at one more example. Let's look at, I'm going to move this out of the way, example 3. Our surface area down here in the check it out section, number 3, we've got our cylinder. We've got a radius of 6 and a height of 9. So let's find our circumference. Let's focus on the rectangle first. Write that down. Rectangle. So we have to find the circumference times the height. Our circumference. Well, we've got our R, so let's go 2 times 3.14 times, what's the radius? That's right, it's 6, times the height is 9. Well, let's multiply all that together. What is 2 times 3.14 times 6 times 9? Okay, hopefully you got 339.12. Now, let's find the circle. Just find the area of one circle, because then we can just double it. Okay, so we have to do pi r squared. 3.14 times, what's our radius? That's right, it's 6. We square it. So we say 3.14 times 36. And what is 3.14 times 36? That is 113.04. Now we've got to put it all together. And say we have to take our rectangle, 339.12 plus 2 circles. So 2 times our circle area. And let's see what we come up with. 339, oopsies, 0.12. So 113.04 times 2 is 226. So we'll have 339, I'm going to take that, I don't have space over there. 339.12 plus 226.08. What does that equal? We'll write it down here. Should get 565.2 or 565.20 if you're running to the nearest hundredth feet squared. So break it up into parts. When in doubt, break it up into parts and put it all together at the end. So that is how you find surface area of a cylinder. Happy practicing!